The world of hoops doesn't need an introduction to LaMelo Ball. From his days as the youngest Ball brother on Chino Hills to being the poster child of his father's own basketball league, Melo has literally grown up under the national spotlight. Now the speculation that once seemed so far away about how one day he would take the NBA by storm is right in front of us. Following a gap year campaign in one of the world's most competitive basketball leagues, Australia's NBL, we now find LaMelo at the top of draft boards all over the NBA. The past 3 years have seen Ball mature past the once gimmicky spectacle that grabbed headlines, and transform himself into a prospect that many believe has the highest potential of anyone in this class. At 6'7", the player that once had more views online than production has now developed into a natural point guard, with a feel for the game and it factor that rivals that of any prospect in years. Today we're going to separate the facts from the hype, and determine if one of the biggest names in basketball is ready to take over the game's biggest stage. LaMelo Ball took the most untraditional route possible on his journey to the NBA, gaining his initial fame alongside his brothers Lonzo and LiAngelo. The youngest of the three brothers, his unwavering confidence and unconventional style gained him a following from early on in his high school career. Prior to his junior year, Melo was pulled from high school and signed a contract to play professionally in Lithuania at the age of 16. Then, after a year overseas, he was launched into becoming the face of his father's own basketball league, the JBA. While these two experiments cost LaMelo in terms of credibility in traditional competition, they allowed for Melo to mature faster than he probably otherwise would have. This was obvious after LaMelo announced he would return to high school in 2018, reinserting himself back under the scope of NBA scouts. The new LaMelo Ball turned heads, having grown from 6'2" when he was last in Chino Hills to an insane 6'7", and had the same fluidity and skill set of guards half his size. The confidence factor was still apparent, but it was also met with a better understanding of the game. Following his final year of high school, LaMelo announced he would sign with the Illawarra Hawks of the NBL in order to play a gap year before entering the 2020 NBA draft. Ball played 12 games in the 2019-2020 season for the Hawks, averaging 17 points, 6.8 assists, and 7.6 rebounds per game. His season was cut short following a minor injury, but in the games he played, LaMelo had proven that he could compete at one of basketball's highest levels. There are still a ton of question marks being raised about what he realistically brings to the table for an NBA franchise, but in my opinion, the film speaks for itself. LaMelo's case for being the best player of the 2020 NBA draft begins and ends with his playmaking ability. Ball has been facilitating the rock and running offenses since he could pick up a basketball, and those instincts have helped him to develop a feel for the game that is unmatched in his class. He has elite ball handling and passing skills, especially for a prospect of his size. Off the dribble, he can shift guards that are half his size, thanks to a variety of Hazeus and hang dribbles. He uses his handle well to fit into the smallest spaces of the defense, and has developed a level of creativity over time that always keeps the defense on edge. His ability to push the ball in transition has been a staple in his game for years, always looking down court for home run outlet passes that can lead to an easy bucket. Constantly keeping his eyes down court on the break, Melo has become great at reading the defense on the fly, creating easy scoring opportunities without needing to set up an offense at all. Rather than just hit the already open man, he can create passing angles that lead teammates open, something that teammates at the next level are gonna love playing with. In the half court, Melo is great at setting up offense and finding players in their favorite spots. He's proven to be great at knowing the personnel on the floor and putting guys in the best position to score. Specifically in the pick and roll, Ball has shown great instincts, knowing when to hit the roll man, when to attack, and when to split the hedge. With NBA teams running almost 25% of their possessions through the pick and roll, this skill gives LaMelo a distinct advantage over other rookies, and allows him to fit into the NBA system even quicker. The addition of NBA spacing will give Ball more room to work with than he's ever had before, and being surrounded with NBA weapons on offense could see his game rise to a new level. Melo's feel for the game is something you can't teach, and it's the number one reason I feel he should be considered to have the highest ceiling in this year's draft. LaMelo's scoring ability is what can make or break his stardom in the NBA. His playmaking speaks for itself, but if he can become a consistent threat to score, it could one day separate him among the league's best. Around the rim, Ball can finish with either hand, shooting 55% at the rim during his stretch in Australia. He's become great at using the rim to protect him from shot blockers and finding angles that he can use to finesse finishes off the glass. He doesn't like going into contact on finishes, which is something you normally don't see from a guy his size, but it's understandable when you look at how his early years of development saw him being one of the smallest guys on the court. The more he gets used to his height and length around the rim, I think we could see him start using it to his advantage more often. We've already seen him develop an above the rim aspect of his game that was famously absent for years prior, meaning we could see even more posters from LaMelo in the near future. In the meantime, Ball has a variety of floaters and runners that he loves to use in and around the paint, and he can get them off just about whenever he wants. However, the reality is Melo rarely drives to the rim with the intent to score. 95 of his 184 attempts in the NBL were jumpers, meaning he looks for most of his scoring opportunities from range. Ball's ability to shoot, along with his shot selection, is likely the biggest question mark on his game. He struggled from three-point range this past season, shooting only 25% on almost 7 attempts per game. Poor shot selection, including attempts too early in the shot clock, as well as heavy defensive attention, are the majority to blame for these numbers, and I don't believe they tell the whole story on LaMelo's ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter. A high percentage of his shot attempts were off the dribble, and while Ball does do a good job of setting up his defender to create space for an open look, shooting a majority of attempts off the bounce will always lead to being slightly more inconsistent. Off the catch, LaMelo shot a promising 56% from 3, showing that the ability to hit shots from deep is there. As he continues to work on more consistent shooting mechanics, specifically his footwork, while also working towards having a better shot selection, Ball's shooting numbers are sure to rise. His own brother Lonzo is living proof that putting in the work and fixing mechanical issues can translate into vast improvement in shooting. Once those issues are corrected, I have no doubt that LaMelo's confidence and big play mentality will result in him becoming a fan favorite for years to come. LaMelo received a lot of negative attention early in his playing career for his lack of attention to defense, but in recent years he's proven that he has the tools to be a consistent defender at a high level. He still struggles with being inconsistent in his effort on the defensive end, sometimes zoning out on possessions and losing his man, or failing to execute the opposing team's scouting report. That being said, this past year he showed his most progress defensively, starting to learn how to use his length to his advantage. As he continues to grow into his body, and if he begins to put more effort into the defensive end, I believe it could become a strength of his game. At 6'7", he'll already be the tallest pure point guard, that is a point guard who guards his own position, in the NBA today. Being able to use his size to his advantage, along with him putting on some muscle from NBA weight training, could set him apart from other guys at his position. The top of the 2020 NBA draft is as close as any draft in recent memory, with so many question marks already surrounding the event and how it will take place thanks to the COVID pandemic. The biggest unknown within the draft is how the top 5 will fall into place. That being said, LaMelo's projections have been all over the place by experts. I've even seen some reach for the idea that Golden State could take him number 1 overall due to him being the best available prospect. Personally, I believe there are 3 teams to realistically look out for. The Minnesota Timberwolves and Detroit Pistons currently possess a top 5 spot, making them the most obvious destination. Minnesota currently has the 3rd pick in the draft prior to the lottery, and could be looking to build a high-level 2-guard backcourt, pairing Ball with D'Angelo Russell. There are questions about how the ball-dominant guards would work together, but I love the idea of Melo running an offense with Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo at the forefront. With the Pistons, LaMelo could solve the existing playmaking issues, feeling their need for a point guard that can facilitate and run the show. Pick and roll opportunities with Blake Griffin and shooters around the perimeter like Luke Kennard could surround Ball with plenty of options in an attempt to begin returning Detroit basketball to its former glory. All that being said, as a basketball fan, I'd love to see LaMelo end up with the Knicks. No, the franchise isn't in the best condition right now, but Ball could be exactly what New York basketball is needed. No player in this draft is better prepared for the big city spotlight, and the roster actually tailor fits his game. The young core of Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, and RJ Barrett would benefit from running the floor with a pure point like Ball, and his playmaking ability could make him a fan favorite from the moment he steps in the Garden. There are multiple reasons, both on and off the court, why LaMelo Ball is unlike any NBA draft prospect we've ever seen. He's grown up in front of us, the first of a wave of young players that we've literally watched grow from his youth into a top prospect through social media and reality TV. The question now becomes, is he ready to take the next step and become the future of an NBA franchise? He's already developed into one of the most exciting young players the game has to offer today, with all the tools that you look for in a top pick. Now it's up to him to decide if he's willing to take the steps needed to fulfill the potential that has defined him for years. No matter what happens, you can be sure we'll be tuned in every step of the way, just like we have been from the very beginning. What's going on, y'all? This is Trice here. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much for your constant support. Don't forget to drop a like, leave feedback in the comment section below, and subscribe for more content. I encourage you to go check out the rest of my channel if you haven't. I have a wide variety of content like this one, breaking down players, as well as some short films and documentaries that I'm sure any basketball fan will enjoy. Remember to turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss any new content as soon as I upload it to YouTube. I've got some great content coming up soon that I'm very excited about, and I can't wait to share it with you. In the meantime, be sure to connect with me on social media. As always, this has been Trice. God bless.